What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and it's time to preview round 18. Let's get into the teams tonight. Friday night, Fasolo and Williams for the Pies come in. They're playing against North Melbourne tonight. McCaffrey and DeGoey go out of that side. And a couple of big changes for North Melbourne. Magic Door into the side, as well as Trent Dumont. Jared Waite goes out with a hip, so only the 1 week back for him before he's out again, and Wagner also gets out of that side. So this is a real interesting, this is probably the most intriguing match of the round for me, because if North Melbourne lose it, they might not win another game this year. They play St Kilda next week, who are going to be a real tough challenge. They could turn up or not turn up, depending on how they're feeling. So Collingwood win this one. We find out that they're definitely still in the finals race. North Melbourne, they're definitely not locked into the finals race. And then they play St Kilda and four top 8 teams. So North definitely want to get either this one or next week under the belt very, very quickly, because otherwise they could slip to 9th very, very soon. I mean, they still have a game in hand if they lose this one and Port win. So that is still to be determined. Now, the next game... Oh, who am I tipping in that one? I'm tipping Collingwood to win that one tonight because I just think they can do it. And I think that North Melbourne, they've been fading. Even though it's Boomer Harvey's 421st game to equal the game's record holder, Michael Tuck, I still think that they won't be good enough to get over the line. Collingwood very much have impressed me over the last couple of weeks. So I'm thinking that they will win this one. Even though they lost to Adelaide last week, it's very difficult to beat Adelaide at Adelaide. So I think Collingwood will win tonight. And let's move on to Saturday. Sydney take on Carlton. Heaney, Cunningham, Foote, and Xavier Richards come into the Swans side for McGlynn. Ted Richards goes out, so they swap in the brothers there. Zach Jones out with an ankle, and Jared McVeigh out with a groin injury. And for the Blues, Kaz Bolt and Boakhurst come in for Lamb and Jacks. So, very good Carlton outfit last week. Took it to West Coast. Only lost by the 7 points. Could have won if there was another 5-10 minutes in that game, but sort of left their run a little bit too late. I think that this will be a real, Sydney will dominate this one. I don't think Carlton will win. I think Carlton will show maybe a little bit of fight, but it's good to get them Casbolt back into the side. So definitely, they'll look to improve over the last couple of rounds of the season, but I think Sydney will win this one. Phone is ringing. Saturday afternoon, we also have the Suns taking on the Fremantle Dockers here. Schoenfield and Rosa come in for Hallahan and Hall for the Suns. And the Dockers have Yaron, Clark, Langdon in for Barlow out with the shoulder. Pavlich is being rested this week, and Ballantyne had sort of those facial fractures, so he won't be playing this week. But this is going to be another, there's a few really good, close contests this weekend, and this is going to be another one of those. So, the Gold Coast Suns and Fremantle, sort of similar positions on the ladder. And I think the Gold Coast should win this one at home. Or do I? I mean, I'm trying to look at, and I'm trying to think. I'm like, okay, their midfield, there's no Ablett, no Prestia, no Riscatelli, no Aaron Hall now. So it's really going to be up to their sort of second-tier players to really stand up here and get this one done. But this could go either way, now that I think about the Gold Coast midfield. Because I'm thinking, oh yeah, there's Gaz in there, he'll just tear it up. But there is no Gaz in there, so I'm going with the Gold Coast Suns to win this game, purely because it's at home. And Fremantle, a couple of big outs there, Barlow, Pavlich, and Ballantyne. So, yes, I understand there's a typo there for Pavlich, but forget about it. So, yeah, Gold Coast at home for me to win that one. Next game, we've got the Eagles and the Demons. This is over in the West. Mackenzie, Duggan, Giles, and Nelson come in for Hutchings, Brown, McGinnity, and Schofield, who is out with some general soreness this week. And for the Ds, they've got Dawes, Stretch, Frost, and Neil Bullen in for White, Grimes, Kendi, and Vandenberg, who's out with a hip injury. So that's this is again another intriguing clash, because West Coast is sort of teetering in and out of that top 4 percentage-wise, and they'd really want to get a big win here, and I feel like they'll get that big win, because Melbourne, they're not a great travelling side. They can't even travel to Etihad Stadium, to be honest, and now West Coast, they are a great team at home, and they average +7 goals at home for them for the the season, I believe. So they're a much better side at home than they are away. and I think that they'll just get this job done. I think maybe if it was in Melbourne, these are both sides that actually struggle on the road a lot. So I think that West Coast will win this one, and they'll win it comfortably, and maybe even win it comfortably enough to push themselves into the top 4, but they've got a tough run coming home, so it'll be interesting to see if they can hold that position. Next game, we got the Dogs and the Saints. Very big game again, because it's another clash that could go 50-50 because of sort of the way the sides have been playing lately. So Liver comes in back after those rib injuries, and Stringer's out with the shoulder, so that's big out there for the Dogs. And for the Saints, Savage comes back into the side after a week out with concussion for Minchington, who gets omitted from the team there. Now, these are, again, as I said, a couple of sides that could go 50-50. Sort of the Dogs, they're really consistent over majority of the season, and the Saints, they're sort of a 50-50 team whether or not they're going to show up or not. If they show up and play their best football, they will take it right up to the Dogs, and this is a huge danger game. This will push the Dogs out of the top 4. If they lose this one, they're going to have to make sure they get the job done here. I'm picking the Dogs to get it done. Even though it's at Etihad Stadium, both sides play the ground very, very well. So it could go either way, but I'm thinking the Dogs just because they have more on the line for them. That's probably their doomsday, is losing this week. Very big danger game. Now, also on Saturday night, we have Geelong and Adelaide. Again, another huge clash in the context of the top 8. Buse and Bartel come in for Murdoch and Henderson out with a concussion. And for the Crows, Brown and Laird come in, big in Laird, for Seedsman and Mackay. So, again, this one's down at Geelong. Geelong won last time they played against the Adelaide Crows. Since that, I think Adelaide might have only lost one game. If not, they have lost no games since this last encounter when they played them at the Adelaide Oval. They're a completely different team, Adelaide, and I think that they will get the job done here at Geelong. They're not as big a force down there as we might have thought, Geelong. They lost to Sydney there a couple of weeks ago. And Adelaide, you know what? They can do it everywhere. They can do it any place, anywhere, anytime. They've won plenty of big games on the road this year, so I think they're going to get another one under their belt and pretty much secure themselves a top 2 finish toward the end of the season, because they are in ripping form. They're the most informed team in the competition at the moment, and it's just going to be a ripping clash. So be sure to... I don't even know which one to watch on Saturday night, because there's 2 really, really good games. But let's move on to Sunday now. It's the Bombers and the Lions. So again, another clash that means something that no one cares about. This one's Essendon and Brisbane, and this is the wooden spoon match. So the loser, you would think, wouldn't win another game for the year. Imagine if it ends in a draw, then it would be a percentage boost for, or like percentage... Who can lose by the least by the end of the year will pretty much determine the wooden spoon then. But Aaron Francis could come in for his debut, but you'd think Cooney would come back into that side. Michael and Polkinghorne also into that squad, and Gwilt out with the knee. And for the Lions, Merritt, Dawson, Walker and Smith come in. McStay out of that squad of 25 with a leg injury. I don't even know who's going to win this game. You'd think Essendon at home, because they've been playing some pretty good footy. They should have won the last couple of weeks. Should have won probably a few games more this year. Brisbane, you can't really say the same for them. They've been pretty poor the last few weeks. So, it's just going to be really, really tough to see Brisbane winning away from home. I just can't see it happening. I think it's going to be really, really difficult. And the Bombers might get pick 2 instead of pick 1. And then I think that maybe gives the argument to give Brisbane a priority pick. But they're a really young team. We saw the Giants and how long it actually took them to develop, and the Gold Coast. So it took them about 3 years with the youngest sort of lists in the competition. And Brisbane is that at the moment. So whether or not they can lift themselves up, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see. Now, let's keep moving on. I don't even know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Essendon purely because it's at home. Now, the next game we've got is the Hawks and the Tigers. I'll be here. I'll be there, sorry, at the MCG. Langford, O'Brien and Headley into that squad for the Hawks. No outs yet. Lambert, Drummond, Conker and Lennon into that squad for Richmond. Delidio out with a calf. Richmond don't win with that Delidio. They're not going to win this one, I don't think, anyway. Although it was our best game at the start of the year. This was probably our first really, really good performance that we put together against the Hawks. It was 3 quarters, though. It wasn't 4. So we got blown out pretty much towards the end of that last quarter. It was only 9 points at 3-quarter time. Ended up losing the last quarter by about 4 or 5 goals in the end. push the margin beyond 40 points. So I think the Hawks will win. They're just priming for September. But I'm hoping Richmond can cause an upset as usual. But you never know what happens. This is sport. This is football. Richmond match up pretty well against them. It's a completely different defence. Last time there was no Rance. There was no Asprey. Our back line was Camden McIntosh and Corey Ellis were our two key defenders. So very different side to last time. But I do not think we're going to win this game either. So I'm thinking the Hawks will beat the Tigers. Now, final game of the round, Port Adelaide and the GWS Giants. Again, another huge game in the context of the top 8. The Giants are pushing to stay in the top 4. The Power is trying to get into the top 8. They probably need to win this game if they're going to make the finals. Port Adelaide, Pollock, Ebert, Butcher, Cracker and White into the team, or into the squad, with Dixon out with the ankle and Need out ill, with some illness there. Then for the Giants, Barrett, Wilson, Kennedy and Stewart in. Steele is out with their hand injury there. So, really, Port Adelaide got demolished last time when they played the Giants. The Giants played at home in that one. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Port... They've been playing some pretty good football, Port, over the last couple of weeks. I think, however, that the Giants have more on the line here, playing for a top 4 berth, and this will pretty much determine how their final series goes. If they win this game, I think that they're going to make the preliminary finals, or be thereabouts. If they lose this game, I think Port Adelaide will make the top 8, and I think the Giants might get beaten in the first week of the finals. Unless they play North Melbourne, or maybe they play Port Adelaide the week 1 of the finals if they lose this game. You never know. Anyway, that's an interesting one. I'm going the Giants, even though it's away, because they have plenty to play for. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I got a mission coming up later today. Leave a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later on Monday for the round wrap-up. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then.